Hello, welcome to my channel. It's actually 10:10 right now as I'm recording, and I know I say this quite often, but I really was not planning to record. In fact, I was feeling a bit like brain fog for the past 2 days off and on, and I know there's like a collective energy going on. Well, I don't know, but I feel, and I've been hearing others go through this as well. And yeah, so I recorded earlier for Patreon, so I was like, I'm not going to record, but I'm laying here on this comfortable couch, and where I am sitting, I'm pet sitting right now. The apartment has just like views everywhere. The views are amazing, and I can see the really full bright moon and the stars. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, so I like during the day I can see the water. I'm not sure why I'm sharing all of this, but it feels relevant somehow. Anyway, the views are really great, and staring at the moon the last night or so, I've really been seeing the color, like the waves of color, the aura around the moon. I know sometimes, like, there are different reasons according to, like, weather patterns, etc., why the moon gives off certain color or colors. But when I look at the moon, excuse me, and you may experience this too, I do see, I guess you can say, like, once we tune into our specific, like, holographic template or consciousness, like, we perceive color, celestial bodies, for example, clouds, not always the same. And I just realized now I've been having, like, different conversations over the past few months with people that are all sort of, like, showing themselves to me right now as, like, a culmination point. How, because for, you know, I'm interrupting myself, but for a while it always kind of felt like I was, how do I say this? I knew, like, I wasn't the only person experiencing this, but, like, around me, I wasn't, like, having conversations about it. Let's just say that. And, you know, for some people, things come in and out as well. Like, they may have one or two experiences. Like, I met someone, I was just in Belgium for 2 months, and I met him for, like, a few days. He stayed at the retreat center that I was at, and he was saying, like, at one point he looked up and saw the sky was essentially, like, layers and layers of pink, and, like, he could see, like, I think there were rays from the sun. He basically was just having this whole experience, and the person, he was with someone, and they were like he was like, whoa, like, do you see what's going on? And they were like, what are you talking about? And I know, because I've had that happen plenty of times. So anyway, this is all coming up because the last 2 nights, as I've been looking at the moon, like I said, everyone may be seeing this. I'm genuinely not sure. I haven't asked, but there's just been these beautiful, like, almost depictions of, like, the aurora borealis, how there's, like, waves of, like, electric light, but instead of it being, there's, like, a word I'm looking for, it almost like nebulous. Like, if you Google, like, a nebula, it's like around the moon. I've just been seeing these, like, ripples of rainbow light. It's been, like, so beautiful. And as I was laying here, there's one star just kept, like, flickering and flickering and flickering and flickering and flickering, and I was just kind of, like, sitting with it, receiving, you know, if you're someone who likes to tune into, like, the crystalline grids and the star communications, you might understand, and, you know, we each have our own unique way of connecting, but I I just like kept looking back at this star. So I forgot I have a star gazing app. And so I whipped it out real quick, and the star that the constellation it feels like I'm pausing for dramatic effect, but I'm trying to find something. Yeah, it's the star of the unicorn, the constellation of the unicorn. And I think that's so funny because I have thought about this so many times, and for some reason I've never like come across it before, at least. Because I look up a lot of constellations, but yeah. Anyway, Monoceros, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. No. I was also drawn to another, to the nebula in the Monoceros, and I believe they call it the Cone Nebula, the Christmas tree. It's known as, wait, hold on. The Cone Nebula forms part of the nebulosity surrounding the Christmas tree cluster. Interesting. And when 2 months ago when I was in Belgium or something like that, I remember I was being shown something while I was researching this. I kept being shown something about like Christmas trees and a connection to something that was going to be illuminated around Christmas time. And I was tuning in for someone who was there with me, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And then as soon as I looked this up and I saw the Christmas tree cluster nebula, that just like that memory poured in. So yeah, super interesting, because I recorded earlier for Patreon, and I was talking about how I saw this winged lion sculpture thing in a window next to this, like, they were all bronzed, huge, like not statues, pieces of art. And there was a unicorn next to it, and I'm like flashing back now. I don't know if it was last night or the night before. Within the last 2 nights, I was falling asleep and I saw an image of a unicorn. It was like a black background and sort of like almost like bioluminescence, but it was an outline of a unicorn like flash in my mind's eye. There were multiple other synchronicities around unicorns the last 2 days, and Pegasus have been coming out. There are different, and yeah, these like winged lion creatures. I know if you're familiar with Stellar Nations, they talk about these winged lion creatures. The Seraphim have been coming up. So yeah, Seraphim codes. And as I was sitting here, sort of just open eye gazing, scrying with the star, I was just seeing like these, I want to say like an ultraviolet orb. So sometimes I'll like tune into whatever it is that I'm scrying or gazing into, and then I'll look on a blank wall and ask for that energy to like transmit on the wall. And I was just staring at the moon like a minute ago, and I look over and it's just covered by this huge cloud that came in, like feels like super quickly, and I can just see the light of the moon like outlining the edge of the cloud. I'm not sure why I'm speaking on that at the moment, but it feels relevant, so we'll see how that unfolds. But yeah, it's like this, the idea of, illuminating the shadow, or like I was saying before a minute or two ago, of like something being illuminated in December near Christmas. And I'm recording this, it's pretty close to Christmas. I mean, I don't know exactly the date, to be honest, but it might be like the 17th. I have to check. Yeah, so I'm sitting here and the star energy, like light that's shooting or emitting from the unicorn constellation, the star, it was almost like I'm hearing the word dancer. I didn't mean to say that, but I don't know, someone here could be a dancer, or dancing could be important, but now I'm hearing like something Christmassy. It's like on Prancer, the reindeer. My reindeer are coming through. It's hilarious. Yeah, but there's so these like mythical, what we call mythical creatures, mythos. The last few days has been like ramping up. So maybe someone here, if you're attracted to this, maybe perhaps you are also experiencing this, or maybe you will be. I've been seeing like mermaids depicted, like imagery of mermaids. I went into a juice shop today and there was like a huge mural of a mermaid, and the two drinks that I picked out happened to both be called mermaid. Like I wasn't like realizing that. I was just like attracted to what was in it, and then both drinks of the whole, there were like so many options, were both mermaid titled drinks. So I thought that was funny. One of them had blue spirulina, so it almost looked like ocean water. In fact, I'm going to take a sip. I diluted it it was like really intense, so I put it in some water. Anyway, and now I'm very thirsty. My voice is getting really shaky. Okay, so yeah. So the mermaid depicted on the wall, the mural, was essentially like sitting on a giant lightning bolt, and it just made me feel like, when I looked at it, I felt like being like supercharged. I'm hearing like supercharged cellular structure, which came in I've been watching like more like fantasy-ish superhero-y movies the last 2 days. I've just been really, really like craving that. And tonight I rewatched Madame Web. And at one point in the movie they talk about, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to give any spoiler alerts if that's something that you care about. But yeah, it was something about like the supercharged cellular structure from getting bit by the spider. The whole point of the movie is about a spider, blah, 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 whatever. These like super rare spiders. And of course we can go on for a while about the metaphors of these movies, but I'm sorry, I was drinking so loudly, but I felt like I just needed to chug water, so so I did. Okay. So, cellular upgrades, activations can be really strong in your energy field right now. I've been really feeling a call to work with monatomic state gold again. I just ordered a fresh batch and I plan on making some tinctures with it. But for me, that element, if you will, or it just really works with the cellular structure and the unification of brainwave states, etc. So it's coming up for some reason. But the whole point of why I think I tuned in, I just got so hot. By the way, geez, my neck, like behind my neck, my chest, like it feels like I'm being almost like coiled, like something's coiling around me. At first I felt like fur, and then it like started to feel almost like a hot coil. I can feel it like running through me. So this heat, these like, it's interesting because normally when I feel this, it's the heat come through, you know, it depends on the message, but it's like pulsating through me. And that word, when I was recording earlier for Patreon, it was like a similar feeling, but it's a bit, I just heard in my head, supercharged. Yeah, it's a bit supercharged, if you will. And it almost feels like it's like flashing. I know, like, someone here might be like a hot flash. I mean, like, no, because I can feel light behind it. So it's like lighting up different parts of the body with this like coiling heat. It's so interesting. It's funny because I keep saying this, that I keep planning to do a specific video or recording, and I still haven't done the one that I've planned for like days, because I don't usually like plan these type of things. I usually just let them pop in, and so many other things have been popping in. So yeah, I do feel like that's just been a slight collective energy of, you know, what's that expression? Something about like when you make plans and, I'm really bad at remembering expressions sometimes. I don't know, like God laughs at your plans or something when you're making plans, or life happens when you're not making plans, something like that. If anyone knows, you can please share it, because I'm butchering this. Okay. So, I'm hearing like, yeah, like the rise of the mythical, and I'm hearing like, I'm seeing quotes around mythical creatures, and Atlantis, of course, is coming through, and the, God, so many movies. What's that movie? With, oh my God. Aquaman. Yeah, just like, okay, give me a second, because I'm kind of laughing at myself. The Fae realms, I've been feeling like for a while that have been wanting to come through more, and I have to be honest, I feel like I haven't been like quite, I mean, I've definitely spoken of that on this channel, but it feels like a deepening is happening with me letting it come through more freely. And yeah, so I'm just sitting with this for a moment, because I really want to let it just pour out. I just saw 18:33 on the timer. And like I said, I'm just allowing things to pop in. And earlier today, I wrote down, and I honestly forgot about it, I saw in the clouds this essentially like a giant Tinkerbell at the top. And then when I looked at the rest of the body, it was like a fishtail, like a mer being, like a Tinkerbell mer being. And of course, like when we tune into these realms, it's not always so like Disney character, but you know, sometimes it does come through in that way. So I don't want to like depict just one, you know, one type of stereotype or anything like that, but I'm just sharing with what I was seeing. And then once I saw the star come through, the unicorn constellation, tying it all together, then I was led to Google about that constellation, and I found this really interesting I guess it's a blog. And someone, oh, interesting. It's from 2017, I think. Now it's changing. Oh, it's like I see. Angelic Virtues. And then it says the Angelic Archives, Unicorn Souls. And it's funny because it says, one of the things it says is Metatron. And I've been seeing 307 is like my number that connects into Metatron. And I've been seeing that number like nonstop. Unicorn Souls. So I read this blog or whatever it is, and I might link it below if you want to read it too. It was really interesting. And right before I found this, I looked up a few more things about that constellation, and it said that like spiritually the unicorn horn can represent the I think it's like the horn of Jesus. But, you know, to me, that is like the Christ consciousness. So, of course, we know they stand for purity, magic. Excuse me, I'm yawning. There have been different depictions of the unicorn essence that has come through my dream state and meditations over the years. And yeah, in this specific blog that I was really guided to read, it sort of goes through how the DNA and how the bloodlines connected to like essentially the extinction of unicorns, and how unicorns, you know, are depicted as these ethereal beings because that's how they've like risen in consciousness. But according to this person's memories, that the unicorns that were incarnated on the earth plane at one point were more similar to like, you know, their horn was like an ivory tusk of an elephant, like more similar in that way. And I thought that was really, I don't know, something like struck me when I read that, and how they were basically like hunted off the planet, and then were given like, you know, homes, if you will, in other realms, specifically to charge through crystals, and how they sort of took residence in the Fae realm, and then like eventually were given a different realm. And I've also heard and researched different, you know, constellations and aspects that way, connected through the unicorn, and how there's this other part that this person had written about that really caught my eye as well. I'll actually just read this part. The unicorn were slaughtered and then slowly died away. Their souls were the first ones to enter into the fairy realm, as they were happily welcomed by them. Mermaids joined later for similar reasons concerning their extinction. So, of course, when I read things like this, please always use your own discernment. But it was really wild to me that this specific thing I was guided to read talked about unicorns, the Fae realm, and the unicorns, when today I kept getting symbology and seeing depictions of mermaids, the Fae realm, and unicorns. And they also mentioned a lion, and I was talking about the winged lion that I saw next to the unicorn. So yeah, like I said, I will link this below if you would like to read about it. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, it goes into the connection to Native American. I'm just going to read this part. Native American Indians understood nature, and unicorns are a being of nature. They were created through the angelic authorities who created Earth from the mixing the DNA of the Alcobata, Alcohbata. I'm sure I butchered that. My apologies. Race from Perseus, Perseus. the Monoceros people and horses native to Earth when they had visited Earth in Lemuria. This led to the creation of not only unicorn, but centaur as well. And I've had quite a few dreams with the centaur beings coming through. So, like, clear as day. And I remember this one dream I was with, like, family members and extended family that I hadn't seen in a long time. And we were in line at a movie theater, and, like, there were centaur beings, like, there with us as if, like, they were also in line to watch a movie. But it was, like, very normal. And what's interesting, I remember the same person in my dream. She's, like, my, not blood related to me, but, you know, extended family. And she was there both times, I'm pretty sure, with the centaur. Interesting. I'll have to think about that. But initials LORAIN and an E can be significant for someone. And it says that the many types of unicorns that were made, they stretched out into the four corners of the earth. When things started to go down here, the fallen angels started to take over the domain of earth. So that Alcobata and Monoceros took a few of the unicorns out of this planet with them to go and populate other worlds beyond. It's so funny that this is where that was the sentence I wanted to read, and I didn't even realize I got right to that. So that could be happening for you more often too. Like, I don't know. I remember when that first started happening, I was like extra excited. I still get extra excited. But this could be something that maybe it happens for you all the time as well, but maybe you're noticing it happen to other people around you. I don't know. There's something about that. Excuse me. Now, sometimes with, when I read things like this, it's not that I'm like questioning necessarily the person's perspective, but I just try to keep in mind, like, angels started taking over the domain of the earth, and then, you know, took a few unicorns out of this planet with them to go populate other worlds beyond. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, if technically speaking, everything is existing at once, like, it gets a little messy with like linear time. And then when you expand out into like what I've been calling like the Aurora time spiral or the Aurora timelines, or when we're going into those more cyclical nature of time. Yeah, but from a linear perspective, we can keep it that for now. I just wanted to touch on that, especially because like the parallel communications, bilocation, trilocation, multi-location consciousness has been coming through so strongly, and I've been being more and more guided to talk about it. So for some reason, it's coming through even through the Monoceros constellation transmission that is happening right now. And I believe at some point in this, I was tuning into, before I looked anything up, I was just sort of, like I said, open eye, gazing, scrying, and I kept hearing like trilocation, bilocation, multi-consciousness location, like I kept being shown that. And then when I found this article, blog thing, excuse me, my throat just sort of stopped for a moment. So I'm just taking a breath. There is mention of I want to use the correct word. Yeah, so at one point, this person goes on to explain, they say, I wanted to share with you a perspective from my own past life. And I love that they say perspective, because that's like what I was saying before about, you know, it depends on how we view these things from, you know, what point in, I don't know, time, space, consciousness, perspective, etc. And it says, once upon a time, I had not many lifetimes here on earth. I had quite a few visitations. The beauty of a messenger is that we can be in many places at once, even while living in this present day. I did my work in this body while allowing another person to channel my angelic spirit. They obtained much information. However, in the incarnations that I had, they were more connected to the Middle Ages of all times than with any other, and I must say I love those times. And they go on to talk about their experience with this other lifetime memory that came through. So people here can be having some, I heard the word discrepancy, and then like grappling. So yeah, you can be like maybe going through that process of like remembering things and then maybe sort of like really questioning it or being skeptical. That won't be for everyone, but maybe for just a few people. And the really cool thing, I keep saying the word cool like so much lately, and I don't know why. Cool thing right now is that there are so many resources and people, available. I still, honestly, as much as I've immersed myself in some of these more other realms and worlds, if you will, in my own experiences, like I still like walk through life sometimes like, okay, focus on now, like trying to bring myself back. But yeah, so I totally understand, and please feel free to like, I'm sorry, I'm yawning, excuse me, ask me any questions. I always love to provide resources as much as I can as well, that can help in addition to anything I can offer. Yeah, I'm going to actually read this part as well. I'm really being guided to read it. Okay, so this person's talking about their memory from another lifetime. They're saying, I was born into a family who had huge connections to the royal members of that day and age. It was a boring life, stitching and sewing for fun, and long walks out in the gardens or woods. I remember walking out in Yorkshire where there had been a great waterfall and sitting by the water, thinking about spirit. I was always magical and psychic. It was a frightening time, though, because I was also arch negative blood type in that life as well. They act as if discoveries had been newly made at random times in the world, but the truth is the archons always knew, and so did their human minions. I wouldn't use like some of these words, so it's funny for me to read it, but the church had been on the hunt for the Holy Grail bloodline, disguising it as a cup. They knew very well it was a bloodline. However, the only way to know was through seeing if the person had any magical powers or sight. This is reminding me of Dan Winters. He is a very interesting human being if you don't know about him. And he talks a lot about like how the bloodlines that possess the ability to lucid dream was like very sought after, and essentially like the Holy Grail of bloodlines, and how, of course, lucid dreaming, it can go really, really layered and deep from my experiences and understanding. And I remember one of Dan Winter's stories and examples was although this is considered lucid dreaming, I think the more that we peel back layers and sort of develop or redevelop or bring back language for some of these concepts, it unfolds and expands. And he was saying that this one person was going to sleep and having such immersed experiences in their dream time. Like, for example, if they went to a beach in their dream, they would wake up with like physical sand in their bed or on their body, things like this. And I met someone recently, not in person, but we spoke online, or we met online and spoke on the phone, and he was saying he's sort of like really freaked out about all this, and he's having a lot of these experiences, and his mother passed, and he was saying that he goes to sleep And mind you, he is in the medical field, but he's not like super, like he called, what did he say? Some of these more, I guess, esoteric things to be like mumbo jumbo, I think is what he said. But he's been having these experiences, and I think it's like freaking him out. Anyway, I'm bringing this up because he was like, I went to sleep, and my mom, like I hugged my mother in a dream after she passed. And he was like, you know, it's one thing to have a dream about her. He's like, but I could physically feel the hug as if it was happening here. And I wanted to explain to him, if you ever listen to this, you'll know who you are, but I wanted to explain to him, but it just wasn't the right time. Some of these more deeper understandings of these bloodlines, but it's also like the activation of, you know, sometimes it could be dormant in blood, but that doesn't mean that person's going to experience it, or maybe they will experience it, but they won't acknowledge it deeper. And so it just remains this like sort of illusion or out of touch, like delusion is what it feels like. And I think at points in my life I had kind of sort of experienced that and felt that. And so I did not expect to be talking about any of this, but this is what's coming through. So we're just gonna keep going with it. Okay, so this person goes on to say, it's not a wise way to go about it because not all the people in that bloodline have magical powers. Some only have the bloodline in case a messenger wanted to use that body and blood. Oh, interesting. For the properties to be activated in them by that higher spirit. Without the higher spirit to activate them, they were useless. Interesting. There would only be sensitivity to energy. I was activated but kept my power secret. I only used the wisdom to help rid the world through figures who were agreeing with me of the rule of the Roman Church. It was too early. Still, to do this, I was not successful. There's much more in this, and like I said, I will link it below if you want to read more. And I just wanted to sort of close my eyes and see if anything else wanted to come in. Yeah, my heart is like heating up. And you know, this whole time that I've been recording, about, I have no idea how long, 37 minutes, almost 38 minutes, the star that I have been speaking on this whole time is like completely cloud covered. Like all of these clouds came in, and I was like tuning in with the star, and it was like completely clear, the sky, or mostly clear, and now it's just covered. There's that heat again. It's like rising now through my throat. It sort of feels to me like actually, I've been meaning to respond to an email. I had a personal session with someone recently, and we were talking about interferences and I'll just leave it at that. Interferences. And I just sort of wanted to like address that because it does feel like there are like maybe a ramping up. Even if you have like a really good cleansing practice, protection, it doesn't feel like anything to worry about, like in terms of, you know, you really need to protect more. And it's interesting because I was tuning in deeper to that and you know, essentially hearing like clearing of the victim mentality. So, and when the client, and someone who I know, I met her before she became a client. So she was basically saying that she's doing her best not to enter into that victim mentality and like allowing this whole idea of being interfered with to like throw her off. Why is that so hard for me to say? Throw her off center or balance. And that's like exactly what I was about to say to her. So yeah, that felt like a really good, I just really love when that happens. So that could be something perhaps, that also might be going on. And yeah. Wow, this is already 40 minutes. I'm probably going to do an extended an overflow Patreon actually on this, because I do feel like there is more that wants to come through. But the connection coming through at the moment sort of feels like it's come to a stopping point. To be quite honest, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to pull through for the overflow. But I will probably go a little bit deeper into the nebula that is connected through the Cone Nebula, and some of the themes that are coming through the Monoceros star. And most likely I'll probably pick up a common theme with the Ascension Glossary, because I feel that coming through. You know what? Actually, the rainbow body has been really showing up, and I'm feeling a connection somehow. The rainbow rounds, the Kundalini. I did a few different videos on that, so if you want more information, you can look through and see if anything catches your eye. But I feel like there's like a deeper connection point here with that. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of what I'm being shown. There's been rainbows the past few days here in Fort Lauderdale, and I did get a photo of one of them. And I was talking about like the moon and the waves of color consciousness surrounding the past few nights that has been so strong. So yeah, and now I can see the moon again. The clouds are starting to dissipate as I continue this message, and I was talking about the illumination in the beginning. I was also listening to something tonight about the 13 stellar nations, and how I think she's a practitioner of, I don't know if you can be a practitioner, whatever she identifies as. I don't even know her full name, to be honest, to give her credit. I think her name is Leslie S. something. I don't know too much about her, to be honest. I've just heard her speak a few times. But she was saying how, like, you know, taking the 13 stellar nations, like, metaphorically, and, you know, sort of like, almost like archetypally is the vibe I was getting. So yeah, I just invite you, however you want to receive this type of transmission, is obviously how you're meant to receive it. So yeah, I don't want to put too much of like a label in terms of how this is coming out. But I do want to just actually tune in a little bit more to the idea of the rainbow connection. I know people will say sometimes like rainbow child, and again there's the rainbow body. I'm being asked to share personal experience, and like I've been saying, my apologies if I repeat myself sometimes now. It's hard to remember if I say something on Patreon or YouTube, or if it's just something that I remember and I wasn't sure if I shared it. And I've also been saying that if I share an experience more than once and you hear it more than once, obviously you can please feel free to skip ahead a little bit, or maybe there's like another aspect to receive from it. So yeah, of course, totally up to you. there was a period of time where when I would go in front of a mirror, sometimes it would be to intentionally scry, and other times it just would be being in front of a mirror. I would have like this rainbow. I essentially, like, they're waves of light, but they have their own consciousness. And now that I'm even going further back in my linear time, I remember for a bit I was having dreams of color that was coming off of walls and like surrounding me, and almost like Fantasia, actually exactly like Fantasia. Like it was having its own, it had each color, each wave of color had its own like personality and connection, etc. Its own, I need another word other than consciousness, but that's what's coming through. And then I started having, that was in like dream time. And then when I started seeing auras, and then it started to get even more present, where, like I said, I would look in a mirror, or even looking at my own skin, or looking at a wall. But I'm being asked to focus on the few, well, there were multiple experiences, but I'm just going to talk about one or two. Yeah, so I'm standing in front of a mirror, and all of a sudden, like, just hues of rainbow color were just like dancing through my skin in the mirror, and like expanding, and it went through the whole room. And I remember I was receiving, it was when I was really practicing and tuning in to channeling, and I was receiving like downloads and channels, and seeing that experience. And I started to in retrospect, I started to really, I think at that point, start tuning into like Auric key codes. And then that's, I think, opened a door into like Hellllo codes and crystalline codes. And it's just been sort of unlayering itself, And I had another experience where I was in a mirror, but I was not scrying. I was just at a friend's place, and she ran out of the room for a few minutes. And she had these like really long mirrors in her place. So I wasn't even like trying to look in the mirror. They were just like around. And that's right. And I felt like I needed to stretch. So I just started stretching, doing like light movement, and like the whole room and the mirror and like my skin that was just like emitting like fractals of rainbow, and like prisms of rainbow light were just, and it like expanded. Like it first started a little bit, and then it just like filled the whole room. So yeah, there's really something here about the integration of, this is cool. They're showing me like, when we talk about the 7 primary chakras, or the 7, the rainbow colors, and then like moving into the alignment of that and the integration. It's like the rays, like the blue ray, the green ray, blah, 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 blah. And then you have like, they're kind of showing me like the transcendence of that into that purity, coming back to the unicorn, I'm seeing like white robes and the winged creature, the white wings, the expansion of the illuminated heart, the crystalline core of the heart, unconditional love template. It's like each individual rainbow ray, unites into this purity essence, or this innocence of the white light. I just heard ergo, the essence of the unicorn. Oh my God. I don't know if I'm going to post this because I feel so silly, but this is what's coming through. And I've been shown this for a while, but I haven't quite gotten it out this way. Yeah. So all right. Well, I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always, I haven't been doing this out loud, but I always thank, the subtle realms, the subtle essences, all of the beings and realms and all dimensions upon which we exist. I am always, throughout the day, throughout my night, saying thank you. And I've realized that I don't know that I'm doing that out loud on this channel. So I just wanted to make note of that. But yeah. I was just taking a moment of silence to see if there's anything else. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it there. If you would like to go deeper and peel back some more layers, the Patreon link will be in the description. You can become a member on Patreon, or you can just purchase individual listings, posts. Yeah, listings. Maybe someone here is like looking at like house listings, moving homes, looking to move homes, just looking for fun. But there's something about like anything, I don't know, it doesn't have to be homes, but listings feels to me like something in that. So yeah, maybe someone here is doing that. But okay, that's all. Thank you.